Alright, hey guys, today I'm going to be introducing you to a new video series here that I'm going to be making and my reasoning behind the whole idea. Now, there's one system that on my channel, I will admit, I have shown almost completely no love for whatsoever. I've done no reviews, no impressions, no pickups. I've barely even talked about it, and worst of all, when I did my room tour video, I completely skipped over the collection of games that I had for the system. I just forgot to mention it. And that system is the Dreamcast. Now, I will say, I got a Dreamcast back in 1999 when it came out, and I was so excited to get this thing. I got a good handful of games for it. You know, I had some of the essentials like Sonic Adventure, Shenmue, Jet Grind Radio, House of the Dead, the Power Stone series. You know, I had a lot of the good games that are out on the system, but then, you know, I got more involved with my PlayStation 2, and I kind of just forgot about the Dreamcast. And, you know, all these years I've had the same game library all this time, and it was just a few days ago that I went on YouTube and I was checking out some videos of like people's favorite Dreamcast games, and I just started discovering so many games that I didn't even know existed on the system, or, you know, I knew they were out there, but I just never really looked into them much, and they look like so much fun. So it was like one of these, like a wow moment. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. So I got on eBay, I bought, you know, about 20 new Dreamcast games, and I've been playing them, and then I wanted to create a new video series where it's like that's the whole idea behind the title of it, a rediscovery of the Dreamcast for me, because I'm playing all these titles for the first time, and it's almost like I'm playing a brand new system, and I've been enjoying it so much. So my goal with these videos is, I'm not going to be reviewing these games per se. It's going to be my initial impressions, basically. So, you know, I'm going to give each game about an hour or two, and just let you guys know what I think of them. It's, you know, that way I'm able to get these videos out there faster, because if I said, okay, I'm going to review a whole bunch of Dreamcast games, you guys know how that is. I'd probably never get around to doing it. But if I make it as quick and as simple as this, let you guys know what the game is about, some of my impressions about it, and just overall maybe help you decide on some Dreamcast games that you might want to pick up, I think this will be a really fun and successful video series for me. So let me get right into it here, guys. The first game that I'm going to be talking about that I got recently is Elemental Gimmick Gear for the Sega Dreamcast. The first game that I want to talk about is Elemental Gimmick Gear, which was released exclusively in 1999 for the Sega Dreamcast. And most of you will probably remember this game just based on the cover of it, because it looked like the game was called Egg, but that's obviously just an acronym for the real title. Now, I wanted to start off showing you guys some footage of the opening cutscene, which I found really impressive because it actually uses hand-drawn cartoon graphics and animation paired with CG, and it comes out to have this really unique and interesting effect that I thought you guys would get a real kick out of. So basically the story so far of the game has been pretty vague. All you know is that really some guys in a cave discover this person in a mech suit, basically, and once they discover it, it kind of powers on, and some vines start popping and ripping out of the ground and covering the earth around them. And of course this main character, they bring him back to the town in his mech, and he wakes up, and of course, in traditional video game fashion, he doesn't remember anything about his past or who he is or anything like that. So he gets given a name by the girl scientist, and from there you go on to discover that the town that you're in gets attacked by pirates, and you go off in these ruins, and then you start to, you know, remember some of your past memories. And so far really the story of the game has been very vague. It's been pretty gameplay intensive. And that's definitely not a bad thing, because I've found the gameplay in Elemental Gimmick Gear to be quite impressive. And obviously you guys can tell this game has amazing hand-drawn graphics. I was so blown away and impressed by these visuals. It's an overhead adventure-style game that's similar to, I guess you can say, The Legend of Zelda. You start off with some pretty basic attacks, like being able to punch as your main attack, and you can also go into a ball form, which basically lets you spin around the level really fast, and you can attack enemies this way. The only disadvantage to this is that your health will slowly drain over time. And as I learned in one of the first dungeons in the game, I actually got the power magic to shoot fire out of my fists. And of course this is limited because you have to collect magic power-ups, similar to, I guess, a Castlevania game in order to use your abilities. And just like a classic Zelda game, I also got an ability where I was able to extend my arm to basically grapple and pull myself across gaps in the game. So it does borrow heavily from, you know, games like the Zelda series, but that's definitely not a bad thing, especially when it's copying such great games. Now, I just can't tell you guys how impressed I still am by these graphics. I mean, that is the main drawing point for me of this game. They're just so colorful and so varied, and the fact that they do mix in animation as well into these graphics, so they're not totally still background. You know, they might, throw in some running water and everything, and I am just certainly really impressed by this. The gameplay so far has been pretty simple. You can wander around the levels and you can collect little capsules which level up your attack and your defense and your magic ability. And the puzzles in the dungeons so far have been pretty simple. They're not that complex, and there are little mini quests in the game where, such as, rescuing some woman's son from falling down a pile of junk. I mean, so far it's been pretty enjoyable. It hasn't been too tough. Well, actually, no, let me take that back. The game has quite a bit of challenge to it, actually, at first. I found myself dying quite a bit, but then once I was able to get some health power-ups and increase my maximum health, I found myself having a little bit of an easier time with the game. One interesting thing that I wanted to note about the gameplay is that the boss battles are actually rendered in 3D, totally separate from the hand-drawn overhead view. So when you get in a boss battle, it actually puts you in this separate 3D environment, a little arena basically, and you fight the boss that way. And all your attacks stay the same, so you can still do your standard punch and your spin move and all that. I just thought that this was interesting and handled in such a different way, but it's still fun and definitely interesting. I also do want to note that the game has a really nice soundtrack. It's well orchestrated, and I think it fits really well into the game. So there's not much else to be said, besides that the game has some really nice music. Overall, I'm really enjoying Elemental Gimmick Gear so far, and I definitely do recommend this to any fans of adventure style or action RPG games, especially if you're a fan of the Zelda series.